Thousands of you are living in the United States and other parts of the world because of the mismanagement of the economy by the PNC, because of the bullyism, because of the intimidation.
At this point, we're not afraid. We feel righteous. We are righteous people. We have a righteous cause. And we are also not alone. We are not alone.
Any president has a right to enforce the laws of the country, uphold the rule of law. But I have to constantly remind you, the Guyanese people, because if nobody else can do it, you're going to hear it right here on the Diaspora Connected. Thousands of you are living in the United States and other parts of the world because of the mismanagement of the economy by the PNC, because of the bullyism, because of the intimidation.
At this point, we're not afraid. We feel righteous. We are righteous people. We have a righteous cause. And we are also not alone. We are not alone.
Any president has a right to enforce the laws of the country, uphold the rule of law. But I have to constantly remind you, the Guyanese people, because if nobody else can do it, you're going to hear it right here on the Diaspora Connected. Well, hello and welcome to the Diaspora Connected. I know that we've been away for some time, and I'm happy that you are joining us here on the Diaspora Connected. I wanna give you guys an opportunity, first of all, to share the video. So we're gonna welcome everybody. Welcome, and thank you very, very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to be back with you here. And if you look at the I want to tell y'all that these are some serious time in our country history, and it's about time that we get serious about the issues that are affecting us, the issues that can affect us as a country, and all of those things. So we're going to talk about all of those things here. I want to encourage you guys to share the video, share it on your platform, share it in your groups. I want to say thank you very much to the folks at TBN, and of course the Guyanese Critic, and of course our folks down at Sky TV here. I want to say thank you very much, every single one of you, and to those of you who are joining us already, top of the afternoon to you, just about 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. So, some of you are taking time out from whatever you're doing in your neck of the woods to join us. So please share the video. We're also on YouTube, on the TBN YouTube page. So please, I want to encourage you guys to share the video. We're going to do the intro one more time. That will give me an opportunity to also share the video to some of my contacts and some of the pages that I'm on. And as soon as we get that out there, we're ready to boogie. We're ready to start the show, okay? Thousands of you are living in the United States and other parts of the world because of the mismanagement of the economy by the PNC, because of the bullyism, because of the intimidation.
At this point, we're not afraid. We feel righteous. We are righteous people. We have a righteous cause. And we are also not alone. We are not alone.
Any president has a right to enforce the laws of the country, uphold the rule of law. But I have to constantly remind you, the Guyanese people, because if nobody else can do it, you're going to hear it right here on the Diaspora Connected. So thank you guys very much. And if you took an opportunity to share the video, once again, I want to say thank you very much. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, our country is at a crossroad. We have a very consequential election coming up in a very few days, next Monday to be exact, so less than 1 week away. And we can't talk right now. I apologize. Yeah, sorry about that. I do apologize to the caller there. If you're watching the show, I will call you right after the show. So please forgive me. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very consequential election that's coming up, and excuse me, guys. I'm actually on air right. Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that, guys. So like I said before, forgive me 1 second, and then we'll continue. That was actually an important call there, so please forgive me. Yes, guys. So we've got an important election that's coming up in this country. It's coming up in a few days, and yet still, and at this moment, the mischief makers and those who seek to interrupt our peace and our tranquility in Guyana are at it again. The spin doctors are at it again. The disruptors are at it again. And I was informed that the thugs and hooligans are getting ready to disrupt what should be a peaceful process. Our elections should be a peaceful process. But I'm encouraged by the words of the vice president at the Stortville meeting that any of this will be met with the highest form of resistance, and they will be dealt with according to the law. And this is what we have to get. We got to get serious in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you guys want me to clear the air on the issue that transpired in the Guyanese Critics private studio a few days ago. Now, let me let y'all know that this program is not geared for that specific issue. That's not the reason I'm here. I'm here because I want to talk to you guys, especially leading into the election, about the important things that we have at stake and how we can safeguard our country, Guyana, our beloved homeland, and how and all the things that are happening. And we are going to also break down the lies and the spins and everything, and then and tell you the truth. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've always leveled with you. I've always tell you the truth. I call it out, and I've always stood on principle. And I understand that sometimes when you stand on principle, sometimes you end up standing alone. But that's okay, because my goalposts don't shift based on an issue. My principles stay intact regardless of what the issue is and who is involved. You understand me? So you know that I would always level with you, and I would always come on these social media platforms and always seek to tell you the truth. So yes, like I said before, we've got to, I would understand it's fair that people are expecting me to say what transpired on that day. And like I said before, I'm saying it, I'm repeating it because I want you guys to understand. This is not my sole purpose of being here. But it would be unfair to you, the listeners and the viewers of any program that I am on, if I just let that, if I do not bring you information as it relates to that. So that is, I want to do that right here and right now. Ladies and gentlemen, on that day, I want to, give me a second. Let me find something here for us. Yes. On that day, so I saw a lot of comments, first of all. I saw a lot of comments where people are saying that, Brian Max was invited to the studio by the Guyanese Critic. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all big and y'all got sense. That was not an invitation. That's not how you invite somebody to your home or your place of business or a private studio. It was not an invitation. So we need to get this right. So I had to do a little bit of research. Not a little bit of research. I did some reading. And it says that an invitation that lacks a genuine consent, or someone telling you to show up at my place. If you think you bad, you show up, you come. Bring doggy too when you come in. You understand me? If someone said that to you, how could that be considered an invitation? Because first of all, it lacks genuine consent. These two men were not friends. These two men were not on body thing talking terms or anything like that. He had no business at the man's place of business. The man was clearly sarcastic when he said to him, "You think you bad? You're a bully. You come for the money. You show up here." Ladies and gentlemen, that lacks genuine consent. And in order for an invitation to be valid, it has to be, there must be genuine consent in that invitation. There were clear sarcasm in that invitation, and Brian Max was on his platform saying what he plans to do when he gets to the studio. Then he barged into the studio and started to behave in a derogatory manner, using words and insults that I would not use here because of respect that I have for you and your children. Everybody got their style. I'm not knocking nobody's style, but my style is different. I am not a perfect person, but I strive for perfection every single day. Barge into the man's private studio, where his home is. Had to pass several doors to get in. And then come in here and behaving like a... Folks, we got to get serious in this country. It's time for the nonsense to end. It is time for those who are accustomed every election's time that they think that they can continue to intimidate and bully and threaten perceived PPP supporters. We've got to bring that to an end. And this time in a long time, those days are over. Those days are over. You see, they had a time in our history where once you were a PPP supporter, perceived PPP supporter, you had to be scared to wear a PPP shirt, especially if you were Afro-Guyanese. Folks, I get knocked a lot of times for standing up for my principles and standing up for the principles of my party. I get physically abused because I stood firm in my conviction that the People's Progressive Party Civic is the best thing for Guyana. People hit me before. I put stuff, paste flyers on my car years ago, and it was ripped off. My car was damaged. All of these things we went through as a people. Because again, and some of our people, some Indo-Guyanese, are not PPP supporters, but by the virtual fact that they're Indo-Guyanese, they also were subjected to violence and to intimidation, to bullyism. That nonsense stopped here right now. It stopped. It's not going to happen again. I lived in Atlanticville on the east coast of them, where very close to Monrepo, right? And every single election, I had to go to Monrepo with others to stand around at the Monrepo Primary School to ensure some of the perceived PPP supporters that it's okay, because every single election they had some Afro-Guyanese who were supporting the PNC that would go and stand up at the Monrepo Primary School, and a lot of you know what I'm talking about. And they will stand there at the Monrepo Primary School directly in front of the entrance to the polling station. And their sole purpose there was to suppress the PPP vote. Because you tell me that a little elderly auntie from in Monrepo walk and come to the Monrepo Primary School and see all these intimidating looking black guys standing around at the entrance, is she going to be inclined to go in and cast her vote? That was an act of intimidation. And every single election, once I was in this country, I had to show up there to assure those who wanted to exercise their right to vote that it was okay. Thank God there was never any violence that was meted out to any of the supporters of the PPP there. You know, but we had to show up there. Because APNU supporters, PNC supporters at that time would show up and try to intimidate. Like I said, People who are perceived to be PPP supporters. They just thought that, well, this man or this woman is a PPP supporter, so we can stand up here and we can screw up with face and we can intimidate them. Those days are over. Those days are over. We've got to call it what it is. There was once a time in our history, like I said before, you were subject to violence just for wearing a PPP shirt. A comrade of mine, a friend of mine, a young Indo-Guyanese called me up to last night. How scared he was leaving a rally, a PPP meeting at Enmore, because some folks decided to follow him. A few Afro-Guyanese decided to follow him. Thank God he said he drove into the police station. These things got to come to an end, ladies and gentlemen, and it stop. They have already ended. I want to say to you that you have the right to go out and exercise your right to vote for whichever political party you choose without fear of intimidation, fear of being bullied or anything else. So Brian Max joined this clan of bullies, joined the Bad Boy gang, the thugs, the hooligans, and Brian Max tell himself that he's above the law. He can put cutlass and whatever, machete or whatever, and show up at the Ministry of Education and intimidate our respectable Minister of Education, a woman that I have the utmost respect for. And Brian Max feels that he can put a cutlass and jump into his car and he can go there and brandish his cutlass at the Ministry of Education and there will be no recourse. He could do whatever he wants. Nobody could do him nothing. You heard him say that on his live too. When he showed up at the man's studio. Nobody can do me nothing. I freaking what you have in there. So the man was like, yeah, you come in if you're bad. Bring doggy too. But the doggy, pretend not to hear that. He heard every single thing else. But he didn't hear that the Guyanese critics said for him to come too. You see, these guys have selective hearing. And those who represent and defend them have selective outrage also. Because I saw that Azruddin Mohammed, who is running to be president of this country, who refused, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you who his prime ministerial candidate is. Listen, I am not at one ounce worried about Azruddin Mohammed gaining any sort of power. I live in the United States, and I have confidence in the United States government that they will stand on the side of justice and the rule of law. So I'm not worried about Azruddin Mohammed. Let me let you know that. It is easier for an elephant to climb through the eyes of a needle. It is easier for an elephant to climb through the eyes of a needle than for Azruddin Mohammed to gain the presidency of Guyana. I said it here and now. So let me let y'all know that. We have to interrupt this program. I have to take a short break because we have a little bit of breaking news, and we have to cut to the Guyanese critic who is somewhere out there in Guyana on the road for some important breaking news. So we have to cut right now, and I'll be here as soon as that's finished to rejoin you.